Okay, let's look at a second example. And again, this is coming from your homework. It says, suppose that you have 8 green cards and 5 yellow cards. The cards are going to be shuffled and you randomly draw 2 cards without replacement. So what I want to do with this is I want to work through and show you a tree diagram for this. So let's first make a picture. It says we have 8 green cards. So this is going to be the 8 green cards. And then we have 5 yellow cards. And we're going to pick 2 cards. So this is how we determine how to make our branches, because we're going to have a possibility for the first card of picking green or yellow. And then the next layer of branches would be what we pick on the second card. So for the first card, we have the probability of getting a green or a yellow. Now, because if we look at the green first, because this gives us a total of 13 cards, and this is our first pick, the probability of getting a green would be 8 out of 13. So that's our probability of picking a green card. The probability of getting a yellow card on the first try would be 5 out of 13. Now we're going to go through and see what happens when we pick the second card. So that's going to be the second layer of branches. So if I assume that I pick a green card first, and because this is without replacement, that means if I pick out a green card, that means I only have 7 green cards left out of 12. So when I go to make my second layer of branches, I am going to be working with the assumption that I've already picked out 1 green card because we're coming down the green branch. So the second layer of branches could be that I pick another green or that I pick a yellow. If I come down this branch, the second layer, and I get a green card the second time, since I've already picked a green, that's my assumption, it's going to have a probability of 7 out of 12. That's going to be the probability of picking a green the second time, knowing that I already picked a green the first time. So that's our conditional probability. Now, if I come down the yellow path, knowing that I've already picked a green, so coming down this way, looking at what I have left after picking my green card, I have 5 yellows out of 12 left. So this would be the probability of picking a yellow the second time, given that I already picked a green. And that probability would be 5 out of 12. We're going to reset. This is 8. And this is 13. Now we're going to look at the branch here where we pick a yellow card first. If I pick a yellow card first, that means instead of having 5 out of 13, I would have 4 left with a total of 12 cards. So 4 yellow cards left with a total of 12. So my possibilities now are if I pick a green card second, or I could pick another yellow card. If I go down the track where I pick a yellow card first and then I pick a green, that's going to be the probability of picking a green after I've already picked a yellow. That's our conditional probability. So when I look at what we have left after I've already picked out a yellow, so that's going to be 8 out of 12. Now, if I come down this track where I pick a yellow and then a second yellow, that's going to be the probability of picking a yellow the second time, given that I already picked a yellow the first time. And all that I have left is 4 yellow cards out of a total of 12. That's going to be 4 12s. And so now if I just go down my branches, I can find all of my probabilities. What's the probability of picking a green first and a green second? the other probability, let's look at all the cases, and I would have the probability of so now let's look at all the possibilities that we have. I have, if I follow this track, let me get a different color. Let's try, I don't know, blue. If I come down this track right here, I pick a green, and then I pick a second green. That's the probability of getting a green the first time and a green the second time. And I would just multiply down that track. So I would take 8 over 13 times 7 over 12. And I can approximate that, putting this in the calculator and finding the decimal value. I would get an approximation of 0.3590. So now let's look at if I get a green first, so I'm coming down the green track again, and then I get a yellow. So that would be the probability that I get a green on the first try and a yellow on the second try. So I would take 8/13 times 5 over 12. And when I approximate that as a decimal, I get 0.2564. Now let's look at where we pick a yellow first. If I pick a yellow first and then a green second, that would be following this track down here. Yellow first and then a green. So I would multiply 5 over 13 times 8 over 12. And that would give me 0.2564. And our last possibility is that I pick, if I go down this yellow track first and then I pick another yellow, that would give me the probability of getting a yellow the first try and then yellow the second try. And then when I multiply 5 over 13 times 4 over 12, I would get approximately 0.1282. Now, if I asked you, let's say I asked you to make the tree diagram and then answer some questions. So let's say I ask you to find the probability that I pick a yellow the second time, given that I already picked a green the first time. So I'm assuming that I picked a green the first time, and I want to find what's the probability that I pick a yellow the second time. So let me pick a different color so we can follow this. Let's do pink. So I'm looking at this track now. I pick a green first. That's my assumption. And then I want to find out what's the probability that I get a yellow after I've already gotten a green. That's this branch right here. That would be 5 over 12. That's this value right here. Something that I want to bring up again that I mentioned in the first video is that when you're trying to find your conditional probability and you're looking at a probability tree diagram, the conditional probability is specifically one branch, just that one piece. When you're looking for the and statement, where I want to come down the whole branch and see what's the probability of getting a yellow and then getting a green, that's the and statement. If you just want to specifically see what the probability is of getting a green, knowing that you already picked a yellow, you're looking at just the probability of picking a green, not green and yellow. You're just making an assumption that you've already picked a yellow. So that's why the conditional is just the one single branch, that one layer, and the and statement is when you multiply the probabilities down the whole path of the branches.